This is a massive populist movement where the people as a whole on both sides are saying, hey, something's wrong with our system. And then what we're seeing is a bunch of tactics on how do we divide the people and distract them. Chase over here, look over here, don't come at us. We're not the bad guys, you guys are the bad guys. And we're fighting in between each other. And the way they're doing this is that they're conscripting these false actors to come in, and then they're using the media to just dramatically slant what's going on. All right, what is the goal of this? Well, they're trying to demoralize the populace. The only way that we can stand up against this is to stand united, to stand together and say enough is enough, right? And in hindsight, what I was thinking about the Capitol is I totally agree with what was done there. I'm very proud of being there and speaking my mind. But we need to avoid any indication of evil. And so really the way to do that in hindsight would have been to stay a little bit back. And we want the movement to be a movement of peace, love, and truth, to the point where the cops themselves hand over the keys to the building, right? The politicians have to give up, right? At the end of the day, if the people won't cooperate, and remember, cops, they're just your neighbors, right? They're just normal people too. I grew up with cops. Jewel Hansen actually drove me to basketball 3 days a week. Every morning I rode with the sheriff in his car to play basketball. They're just people. They're good people. And they will support us unless you come out in violence. The same with the military. How many kids, how many boys and friends do you know, brothers, sons, that are serving in the military? These are people. These are real human beings. And they will support a populist movement that's peaceful and not distracted by this kind of stuff, right? The media can lie all you want. Now, our job is to stand up in peace, truth, and love. What does peace mean? It means not getting ourselves into a situation that can be construed as violent or evil. Truth means we need to start sharing this content with everyone. You cannot sit down and be lethargic at this point. You must stand up and start talking to your neighbors and your friends, because information is being suppressed. My Facebook is out to 10 people, 5 people right now. My videos go nowhere. Nothing I do is getting out of my little bubble. And this is one of the major problems, that they're suppressing all kinds of information, and it's impossible to share this kind of thoughts with other people. So unless we all together can start consuming information and talking to our friends in truth, nothing's going to go anywhere. And then finally, it's about love. All of us have different pieces of information about what's happening. We don't agree on things. They're trying to divide us. And so the best way to do it is to listen first. Listen to other people's opinion, and focus on respecting them and loving them as the top priority. At the end of the day, what we have to do is we've got to convince everybody that we are one. We are all one. So that's not their goal, obviously. They want to keep us distracted. They want to keep all kinds of chaos going. And in the background, they are pushing, they're slamming legislation through. So what happened? They're trying to discourage the base. They are deceptive.
Tim? Well, Greg, at the White House on Thursday, Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany came out to the podium and condemned the violence that took place at the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday in the strongest possible terms.
I am here to deliver this message on behalf of the entire White House. Let me be clear. The violence we saw yesterday at our nation's Capitol was appalling, reprehensible, and antithetical to the American way. We condemn it, the President and this administration, in the strongest possible terms. It is unacceptable, and those that broke the law should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. What we saw yesterday was a group of violent rioters undermining the legitimate First Amendment rights of the many thousands who came to peacefully have their voices heard in our nation's Capitol. Those who violently besieged our Capitol are the opposite of everything this administration stands for.
Well, as you can imagine, and as you're probably not surprised, Big Tech is doing their best to censor anything
coming from the current administration. One of our team members was watching this press release last night on Instagram with the audio off, and the captions generated by Instagram were just, let's just say, slightly off. In reference to the violence at the Capitol, she says, we condemn it. You heard her say it. We condemn it. The president condemns it. But the caption says, we condemn the president. And Greg, this...
All right. So you can see that, happenstance, right? No big deal. No, there's actually something going on. And it's one of these things by themselves is not that big a deal. 5 of them, not that big a deal. But at what point is it too many? One of the things to keep in mind is these guys don't play by the rules. So you saw all the ways that they were twisting information, right? With the Kayleigh McEnany's announcement that the White House condemns all violence, and that this group of like 1,000 rioters or whatever it was this small group of rioters subverted the will of thousands, right? So that's what they said, and then they twisted her to say, we condemn the president, right, in the captions. The captions, how detailed is that? Like, that's insane. Do you think that's a random mistake? Maybe. I don't know. Take a look at this, though. So let's get into real violence. So in 1983, Susan Rosenberg planted a bomb outside the Senate chamber to assassinate Republican senators. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler got President Clinton to pardon Susan Rosenberg. She tried to assassinate Republican senators. She got a pardon. She is now on the board of Black Lives Matter Network. Look at that. There's your bomb. So that's a little strange, right? Does that seem like they're playing by the rules? Here's another one. Bill Ayers, again, detonating a bomb in the Capitol. But he's on Twitter. No big deal. Who just got banned from Twitter? Trump did, along with 35,000 different conservatives. It's probably more than that now. Let's go over here to, I had one more of these, if I can find it. This guy. One of the men who was part of the siege at the Capitol building, John Earl Sullivan, extreme BLM activist from Utah. So he's been at other BLM protests, but he's an instigator. This guy looks like an instigator. He was arrested and charged on July 2020 over a BLM Antifa riot where somebody was shot.
We out there strapped. We out there ready to burn that shit down. We out there to defend our fucking self. We got to defend ourselves now, too. We do. Because power to the people. We got fucking rip Trump out of that office right over there. Fucking pull him out that shit. Nah, we ain't about fucking waiting until the next election. We about to go get that motherfucker. I ain't about that shit. Because you know what time it is? I want y'all to be after me. It's time for a revolution. It's time for a revolution. It's time for a revolution.
Utah John Sullivan is the founder of Insurgents USA, a civil rights group. He says he was in D.C. to document Wednesday's protest and found himself behind the group that eventually made their way inside the Capitol, and he climbed in through a broken window.
They weren't really trying to burn anything down. They weren't really trying to break anything. Their main motive was to make it into the chambers.
And in that process, one woman was shot and killed. John was standing right next to her when it happened. John says police were no match for the overwhelming amount of people inside.
Those protesters got angry and they busted through those officers really quickly.
We got misconception. We got it all on film right there, I swear. You got this.
So he was at the Black Lives Matter movement. This is him being captured, and I believe he was released too. Right now. Andy No, by the way, on Twitter, this guy studies Antifa. So he follows all their movement. He tracks these guys. He is the Antifa expert out there. So when he posts this, there's a high degree of credibility here. And let's just go take a look at his link. Okay, so this is the story from back in July 10th of this guy getting arrested already. And he was, once again, now remember, he's at a Black Lives Matter movement, creating all kinds of problems. Now he's at a Trump movement creating all kinds of problems. What do you think this guy is? Is he a good guy? I mean, he's a person. He deserves our sympathy and our love. But at the end of the day, you're responsible for your actions, right? And this guy is responsible for instigating violence. Let's go take a look at what this is. I'm seeing 3 pictures here that I just noticed. All right, I am activist John. We got to rip that mother effer out of office. So over here, Andy No is saying this was a guy who was part of the Capitol siege building, an extreme activist, right? This is a post from this guy saying we've got to rip that MFer out of the office. Why was he at a Trump rally if he wants to rip that mother effer out of the office, right? What's going on? Fuck Trump. Trump 2020. Black Lives Matter. Antifa. Do you see what's going on here? This is insane. Do you think it's just this one person? I don't think so. I think there's more.